So right now I'm waiting on some other pieces in order to work on the back of the car and get started on that. But while I'm waiting on those, not a huge deal. Got plenty of other things to do to the car, obviously. I'm gonna start at the front here and basically repair all the rust from the front to hopefully where the new floor ends, just about the back of the door here. So that way when all the stuff comes in for the back, I can focus on that and everything in the front here will be complete and fresh. There's multiple spots up front here, quite a few spots on the frame rails. I mean, you can see this piece right here. Then you can see on this side, there's that part, and then there's a pretty good chunk out of the front over there. I'll show that once I actually start working on it. But then you can see other pieces like this guy right there, this section right there. So I mean, basically anywhere that there can be rust, there is rust. Sometimes in, you know, not the most ideal spots, but hey, that's what you got to deal with here. And I'm currently debating if I want to go through and replace the rust and do what I want to do to these inner fenders and firewall, because one of my plans slash ideas involves getting rid of these inner fenders and cutting out the firewall, because I have never liked this swoop on the car. I mean, if you look at the body lines on these cars, or friggin' any Mopar for that fact, they're known for kind of their boxy styling, and then you just got this giant arch right here. So even if I keep these inner fenders, I'm gonna go through and smooth them out, do all that and everything, but I'm for sure gonna get rid of that arch right there. That'll be for a future video, but I'm just explaining that to kind of get, you know, plans out there and explain what I'm kind of thinking, I guess, explain it out loud here. And basically why I probably won't end up touching all of this rust up here and some of the stuff on the firewalls, because obviously I don't want to go through and replace it and then end up cutting it out, you know, like in a month or two, if I decide to go that route. First piece here is going to be pretty simple. I mean, it's this little hole right here. So game plan, cut a square out, grind this down, vacuum out all the rust that you can just see is inside right there, and make a new patch for that. So let's get to it here, and I'll just continue to work my way back, I guess. This is the reason people say these cars came from the factory with rust. That came out of that. All right, side number 2 here, about to go down. A lot more rust on this side, but it's pretty much the same thing overall. Just gonna cut out a square. It'll have to be a little bit lower, so I'll see how close I have to get to the caster here. Then once I get this piece done, I can move on to the rust that is on the bottom right here, and then that kind of wraps around to the inner side of the frame rail right there. So do these 2 spots, and then this frame rail will be all good. So here's the completed contraption got going on here, my new frame rail brace. So you can see I had to cut out a much larger section than I was anticipating and hoping, and this whole top piece right here was just all rusted out. So figured I might as well cut it all out. Went ahead, made my templates, cut this piece out right here, went through, welded along on the inside, which actually turned out better and was easier than I was expecting. So I'm very happy with how that's looking. I'd mock it up, but it's hot right now. It's a little bit tricky to mock up with just one hand. So I'll throw some weld through primer on the inside, then toss this thing up here for the final time and weld it all along the outside. So there we have it, patch panel all complete. I'm very happy with the way that turned out. You can see on the bottom, rolls over nice and smooth. Pretty much looks factory, so I'll take it. There was just a couple little holes here I went through and welded up, just smoothed those out really quick. But yeah, not too shabby. It was definitely a tricky piece, but I'm glad it's done. It's done the right way. No more rust in this frame rail now, and obviously there was no need to replace that whole rail for just that one section, and then some of these other sections up in the front here. So throw some primer onto that thing, clean this mess up, and then I'll be back at it tomorrow night once again. Just another thing crossed off the list here. Oh man, that's kind of scary to look at, but for good reason. I feel good about this now that I have everything out. Got the dash out, front glass out, rear glass out, pedal assembly, all the brackets from underneath this out, which means I can now reach all the rust, and when I go to do my new firewall, I can easily access that from the back side. I can fix anything on the bottom side of the cowl. All this rust right here, I'll be able to fix. And if we take a look at the back rust here, it's much worse than the front, but hey, is what it is. Can't say I wasn't expecting it. Can't be mad about it. I mean, it just is what it is there. It's gonna have to get replaced. So this whole channel here will more than likely get replaced. That piece should be part of the new quarters. Same with this piece in here. I'm sure I'll have to make little patch panels to fill in the gaps and everything. But yeah, that is out. One more thing I just want to show is check out how nice this paint is. Probably the nicest paint on the entire car. Probably the first time it's seeing the light of day in, shoot, what is that, 52 years now? So that's pretty cool. Shame the car's not going to be that color anymore, because it is a cool one, but what I have planned, I think will be a lot cooler. Having the glass and dash out is coming in pretty handy here. So I got everything, the weather stripping, all the chrome, all the tabs, everything out of the window channel here. The top seems to be pretty nice, obviously minus this roof rust and some other roof rust, but the channel itself is good all the way down to the sides. It's good. And then we get to the bottom here, and it is just completely toast all the way around. I mean, there's the cowl right there. You can see my finger. So it is just shot. Not a surprise, especially, you know, being a vinyl top. This doesn't really affect, or the vinyl top doesn't really affect this section, more or less that up there. But yep, that's just what you get with a 50-year-old car. So game plan is to cut this entire section out, and I'm going to remake an entire new window channel, because I don't think there's a single piece of this that is salvageable in any way, shape, or form. So the channel here is, for the most part, pretty much prepped, ready for the new pieces to go in here. You can see just how bad this old junk was. I mean, that is barely staying together here. That is toast. So this entire thing needed to be replaced. Plan is to do a whole new strip on the inside here, Then I'll work on the corners here, and then I'll work on these outer pieces which were filled with lead. You saw me get that out of there. And vacuuming out the inside of this cowl here was a job in itself, but I got pretty much everything. That was not easy to get all the pine needles and all the junk out of there. This piece right here is going to be my first thing to replace. That'll be a little bit tricky. I still got to figure out how I want to do that. Once I get that little section in right there, then I can go through and start mocking up the new piece. So onto that probably tomorrow, because it's getting late. Okay, new piece or pieces are all tacked in. I didn't film it because my phone died, but it was a pretty simple process. Basically, you know, I had the open space here. I laid some blue painter's tape over it, pressed it down, and then I took an X-Acto knife and trimmed it just along the inside edges. So this spot here has a little bit of overlap. It's nothing crazy. It would have been a pain to get it exactly where it's at, but I think it'll be stronger this way without a doubt, and it'll end up actually turning out better. So did that, made my templates, got the pieces all tacked in. I'm gonna go through slowly and final weld them in so it doesn't warp it. But before I do that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut out this section right here, like this piece, and then same thing on the other side over there. You can see this one here is a little bit worse. So cut these both out, get the new patches tacked in there. Once those are both tacked in, I'll go through, weld those up along with this entire new seam right here. This front cowl will be looking pretty good. I'm standing in the middle of a car so I can get enough reach for this in one clip, but there we go. Piece number one, all tacked in, liking the shape of it and everything. And side number two here is also all tacked in, liking that shape as well. So when I cut that out, basically what I do is I put a layer of tape over it. So I'll take a couple pieces of tape, put it over it, and then when you push down, you can like see the indent of where, you know, the shape is. Trace it out with a Sharpie, pull the tape off, lay the tape on a sheet of cardboard, and then cut out my template here, and then just transfer that to metal. That is what I found is the best way, not the best way, but the easiest way to get a shape that you can't really see, or that's kind of a difficult shape, because obviously when you just put a piece of cardboard over it, you can't see it because it's not see-through. So that's the way I do it, and it's a little tip of the day, I guess. Everything for the top pieces here on the roof are now prepped. Went through wire wheeled up this section, threw some well-free primer on it. Same thing with the back of my new piece. So that piece will go in there like so. This side was a little bit more tricky of a piece, I guess, to make. I just shaped that. It's not the exact shape, but I'll kind of work it, you know, as I get one side tacked in, and then just work my way down, get it all aligned. So that is all looking good. Time to weld these things in and take my time so I don't warp this, because this is obviously a pretty crucial piece. Spent so much time on this. Oh, I can't even think right now. And this, like, see these stupid little things? Like, I can't get them dialed in. Like, this section, good. Like, she is smooth as can be. I'm so happy with it. I can't get this section down in there because I can't friggin' open the door all the way. So once I get more space, I'll be able to do that. But like, man, it is so good. Just minus those little sections. And I want to get that dialed in perfect because I want it to be able to look seamless. Oh my God, man. I keep fighting this. I don't know how much time I've spent on this one piece alone. And I still got to go through and do the same thing to that side over there. So I know it'll all be worth it once it's done, but my God, those things are killing me. The issue with the thin metal is, you know, you go to like put a little tack there and then it either blows a hole or it just makes a little crater. So you got to be really careful. It's just, oh. This is nonsense because you could totally just slap some filler over that and call it a day, but I want to get to the point where I don't have to do that.
And ideally, it would just be get the piece in, weld it around the edges, smooth it, and bam, I don't have to deal with this, but I'm just... It's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. So I hope you enjoy this side of stuff, because I sure as heck, I know, I do. I just... After quite some time and a lot of struggling and learning and I don't even know what else, it's done finally. So I guess we'll start at the bottom here and kind of walk through what I did and everything. I'm gonna say the not necessarily easiest piece, but easier of some of the pieces because it didn't have a lot of warping or anything like that, was the window channel. Also probably the biggest piece and the piece that kind of started this whole project here. So if you guys remember what it looked like at the beginning, this junk right here went from this to a whole new channel. So I'm pretty happy and pretty proud of this piece. Turned out really good, honestly. So got that whole new piece in there. Went ahead, radius to the edge here, so then the glass can sit in there. Trim will pop over that nicely. And then I was gonna go through and grind down all the welds on the bottom here to make it all smooth, but I was thinking there's no really need to. Number one, it would have been challenged to get the cut off down in there to get everything smooth, and then number two, it would have been tricky to go through and then try to tack it up to get the perfect radius and then just keep going back and forth to get it to where I want it. And this way it's not going to leak. I know it's all the way welded up, and once the glass is in here with the sealant and the weather stripping, I mean, you're never gonna know. It's so shallow, I doubt it'll cause an issue. If it does cause an issue or something when I have to put the glass in, well, then I'll kind of take a Dremel and do what I need to do. But I think it looks better that way, structural, and I know there's no leaks or anything. A piece that I probably struggled with the most, and I'm still not totally happy with it, but it's kind of as good as I can get it for the time being, is this corner piece here. If you remember, I mean, it had the whole lead seam in there. I think I have, yeah, this guy, which was totally pitted. You could see all that, and then obviously the lead seam was right there, and underneath that was just all torn up as well. So I had to get rid of that pitting, which then turned into a much bigger project, but I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, it's not totally perfect. The shape is there, it's pretty smooth. I just wish I could get rid of this, but if I go to weld that up, it's just gonna blow more holes through it. But yeah, I mean, the shape is there, it's pretty seamless. It's like this half, freaking dialed perfect. Could throw some primer over that and you would never know. But that other half there, it's like, I just can't seem to get it for some reason. So maybe I'll go back and try to touch it up. I'm just kind of scared to right now because I don't want to blow holes through it. Knowing me, I might actually cut this whole section out and redo it. I don't totally know yet. And then yeah, like I was saying earlier, once the doors are off, I can get in here, make that all smooth, and that'll look brand new again. Since I'm on this side here, talk about this top roof patch. I'm pretty happy with this. I think this is the best, I don't know, piece kind of out of everything that turned out here. Wasn't the easiest, but I mean, it looks so smooth. It's got the right shape. It looks really good. I'm happy with the result. It'll take some body work to totally get dialed in, and some hammer and dowel work. I was already doing some kind of on the inside here on this back section to make everything line up, but I'm very, very happy with that. Not totally perfect, but hey, at least there's no more rust there, and there's no holes in the roof, and it didn't warp everything. That was by far the trickiest thing, especially with a piece this big. So pretty happy with that side there. If we go to this side over here, pretty much the same thing on this side, just this section. I ended up redoing this twice because I didn't like the first one a whole lot, so I cut it out again, redid that there. Turned out pretty good. This side was more challenging for some reason. I don't know why than the other side. Kind of same deal. It'll take a little bit of body work, some hammer dolly to get totally dialed, but overall not too bad, and there's no more rust there, which makes me happy. And lastly, probably my least favorite piece, just because I don't like all these little things there. I mean, it's smooth, but it's just like that one, I don't know. If anyone has any suggestions or ideas like how to not get that, I know if you can get the weld to lay flat around, you know, the old metal, and then the new piece, you can go ahead and grind that down. What I really think is throwing me off is this thing here. I would love to have shop air, so then I can put a little 90 cutoff on it and then put like a smooth, thin sanding disc on it, and I think that would contour to like the shape I'm trying to go towards, rather than having this giant friggin' flat disc on there. And I think that would make this stuff go away, or at least a lot less prominent, or just not as, you know, obvious, because if I could get that to kind of smooth out what the shape I'm going through, rather than having to take this with a very, very, you know, fine grit like I'm doing right now, and I'm literally just using the corner to weld or grind down the welds, and then to kind of smooth it all out, I'm kind of using the flat piece, like the flat part of it. That's what seems to be working, but I don't know. It's all right, is what it is. I think I'll rock with it for now. I would just love to get to the point where I don't have to do any body work, and the metal work would just be done and good as is, and I can leave it in bare metal, or I don't have to put any filler over it, or don't have to mess with anything. And it's close. It's very close. Like I said, I got the general shape there, which was definitely the tricky part, because that's a hard shape with a lot of different angles in it. But it's just like these little things. I don't even know what the heck you would call them. I just can't get it dialed. It's very, very frustrating, but overall, not too bad. I got to get some other Dremel bits, and I'll be able to clean up and smooth out the corners. But that transition isn't horrible as of right now. So yeah, overall not too bad. That was definitely a big project that I'm happy is now off the list. No more rust in this lower channel, and that means I can move on to the next thing. I was planning on getting this video out a little earlier, but this project took a little bit longer than I wanted to, and I don't want to rush stuff on the car just in order to get a video out, but I also want to stay consistent with the videos in between school and work and trying to do stuff on this. It takes a lot of time, so that's kind of why this one got a little bit delayed. But I got videos up here planned out for like the next month and a half. Hopefully, if everything goes planned, can stick to weekly videos on Sundays. So I like to do that at least throughout the end of the year. It's kind of my plan up here. We'll see how it works out. But next weekend, I don't even remember what the dates are, like 20th or 18th. Yes, it's the 18th and 19th. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but it's the 18th and 19th. I will be at MCACN, Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals, with that thing, wherever the duster is. So I'm very excited for that. And then I'm also picking up another project. Like I need another one, but I promise I have good reason for this one. So lots to look forward to. I got some plans for the next few projects on this thing while I'm still waiting on stuff for the rear to show up. So lots going on, lots happening. Appreciate everyone's support over the last month here on YouTube. Based off the analytics and everything, this was pretty good month, by far the best. It grew a decent amount. So like I said, appreciate it. It's motivating, and I'm excited for kind of the next few videos here. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.